Mr. McGowan, Edsel and Larry can say something later if they want to, but that man, he would walk down the hallway, would not say a word.
Right.
He would just stare at you. And then again, you was hoping he wouldn't say anything, you know.
That's the truth.
He would just walk down the hallway at one side and then he'd go over to the other. But I'll never forget, Edsel and Larry probably remembers this, but James Helmet and W.C. Thiem went down to the barber shop. They were going to get a mohawk. I was out in front when Mr. McGowan was standing there, and they came back with their mohawk. And Mr. McGowan just sitting there with his arms crossed. I said, oh boy, this is going to be good. He said, boys, got two options. Either go back to the barber shop and get the rest of it cut off, or you're suspended. Needless to say, they went back to the barber shop.
But let me ask y'all this. You talked about Coach Meredith a minute ago. I'll just mention this and see where y'all go with this. How about Coach Meredith's car? I've heard some good stories about his car. Y'all remember anything about that? Said he drove an old broken down.
Oh, I don't know. Everybody back then had broken down.
Yeah, right. None of the kids had any, but
This is not football, but Mr. Smith, I played junior high basketball, and he had a, gosh, I don't know what year it was. It must have been a 36 or something Ford. You know, it had two seats, a seat in the front, then it had a little something in the back, and then it had a rumble seat back there. Well, we used to go to junior basketball games in his car. And we went to Padita to play basketball, and he told us ahead of time, he said, now those people up there are mean. He said, I lived around them. He said, when the ball game's over, we were going to beat them bad. We just felt like it, and we did. But he said, when the game's over, hit that car. But one thing I can say, back then, I think Edsel and Larry remembers, we had Coach Meredith, we had Coach Wise, Dr. Michaelson had just graduated from med school. He came to Foley to go and practice with Dr. Foster. Well, he would come out and work with the offensive line. He played guard at LSU, and he'd try to work a couple of days a week, and he would come out, and we had Al Lunsford, I believe, as an assistant coach. Exactly. And that was about it.
Yeah.
And I was watching a ball game last year with Daphne, I believe, and all of them had on the same jerseys. And I'm sure some of them might have been volunteers, but I counted 12 or 14 coaches on the sideline. I know it's improved over the years, but I thought, my gosh, we only had 2 full-time and 2 part-time when we were playing.
Y'all have any memories of Coach Wise?
Yeah.
I guess his senior year was his first year. Y'all senior year was his first year.
I think it was first year.
I'll tell you one more story. And to begin with, first of all, I was not a very good football player. I was not good at all.
That's not true.
That's fact. That's fact.
No, it's not.
Anyway, one time I remember, and Bud might have been the one that passed to me. And he threw me a pass, and I was wide open, nobody around me or anything, and they ran me down from behind. So I didn't get to make a touchdown. And then we were playing Viger in the last game of the season. And of course, they had an offensive and a defensive team. And Billy Underwood was the tailback. And I had gone out for a pass, was in the end zone. Could have made a touchdown, but he didn't throw it far enough. So I had to come out of the end zone and catch it. And then I couldn't get back in the end zone. They got me for it. And I told him later on, I said, Bill, one time I had a chance to make a touchdown, and you didn't throw it far enough. He said, I knew they wouldn't let you catch it there. So I threw it back so you'd catch it.
We didn't have any superstars like they do today, but we worked hard.
Yeah.
And gosh, I remember we were playing Robertsdale in Robertsdale. Larry and Edsel remembers, they had Joe Childress playing,
Yeah.
and he went on to play at Auburn and made All-American. Then he went to play with St. Louis Cardinals, and I played offense and I played defense, and he got loose on an end run. Coach told us, says, hit him low, because he was so strong, you know what I mean? So I went flying out there and like a little banty rooster, and I jumped on him. He just carried me about 10 yards. We got help, and we finally got him down. Then just before halftime, we were on about the 20 or 25 yard line. They were ahead 6-0. They called a pass play, and I threw it to the wrong guy. I said, oh, gonna be bad news at halftime. So we went down in the end zone just to sit. We didn't go in no dressing rooms up there. We played at the old Coliseum. And I'll never forget, he was right behind me. Coach Meredith says, yeah. Said Flowers didn't hit the right one. Said then he went out there trying to dance with Joe Childress, and I was just sitting there scared to death. And all of a sudden, he kicked me right in the rear end. It didn't hurt, but with all the padding, you know, the only thing that hurt was my pride.
But everybody played both ways back then.
Yes.
And I would say at that particular time, probably the biggest guy we had on the team was 180 pounds. Rest of them were 165, 175, something like that.
Well, how about your competition? Who's the best team that y'all played your senior year?
Pensacola.
Pensacola. They had by far the most
Oh, man.
people, you know. Back then, when we played them, there was only Catholic and Pensacola over there.
Yeah.
And that was two schools, and they had, I remember when we first was gonna play them, we went over there, the coach took us over to see them play Robertsdale, and they run about 100 and some people out there, you know, in the field, and of course they whooped the devil out of Robertsdale. And the next week, we got the whipping too. I think it was 21-0, which wasn't too bad, what we thought,
Yeah.
21-0. But they had a lot more people than we did. We was lucky to have two teams that could scrimmage against each other a lot of times.
I remember they had, I don't know if you remember, they had a halfback.
Larry Scott,
Yeah.
man, he was tough.
He was good, and I think he went to the University of Florida.
Yeah, I think he did.
On a football scholarship, and they just wore us down in the fourth quarter. I mean, I thought we were talking about a moral victory, and Coach Meredith said it's no such thing as a moral victory. You either win or you lose.
Well, Coach Meredith wasn't afraid to schedule tough competition, was it?
No.
I mean, really, at 51 team at 50, y'all played some tough teams.
Yeah, we
Pensacola, Atmore was really good at that
Yeah,
time too.
Atmore was really
Yeah.
good.
I tell you, the dirtiest team that I have ever played, I'm sure Larry and Edsel remembers, we went to St. Stanislaus, the first game of the year.
Yeah.
They got us over there and they about killed us.
Yeah.
Bo Walker was a tight end. His eye was closed. He couldn't even hardly look at us. They'd beat his mouth. Till the next week, he was on milkshake, sucking through the straw. Because we didn't have any face masks back then. I mean, you know, I'll never forget, Billy Underwood and I went to the start of the season. We asked Coach Meredith, says, Coach, could you get us slow cuts? You know, because you went through the box with cleats. I mean, you know, and you picked out your size. They all were high tops. And you didn't know how many years that pair had been in, you know. So he said, you want high tops, low cuts, you know, like we were asking for the world. And he finally got us a pair of, Billy and I, low cuts. And later on, we asked him, says, Coach, could you get us some mouthpieces? Well, you'd think we was asking for the world. He said, mouthpieces, you know. Oh,